guess who's just announced their presidential campaign? It is none other than your favorite neoconservative, Nikki Haley. So she used to be Donald Trump's U.S. ambassador to the UN. I'm going to play you her campaign announcement, and then we'll discuss further, yeah?
The railroad tracks divided the town by race. I was the proud daughter of Indian immigrants. Not black, not white. I was different. But my mom would always say, your job is not to focus on the differences, but the similarities. And my parents reminded me and my siblings every day how blessed we were to live in America. Some look at our past as evidence that America's founding principles are bad. They say the promise of freedom is just made up. Some think our ideas...
What? You were founded by British people who own slaves. It's not exactly the best look, you know. And doesn't it say in the Constitution that a black man is 3/5 of a man? I mean, this is disgusting. So, obviously the Americans have some very nice things in their Constitution, aside from that, like freedom of expression. But is it actually real? Really? Do you actually have that? Or do you get sent to jail for doing good journalism? Because it's the latter, I can tell you. Yeah? I'm struggling to understand what her point is here. Is she saying that there's no racism? There definitely is. But anyway, I'll let her continue.
Made up. Some think our ideas are not just wrong, but racist and evil. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have seen evil. In China, they commit genocide.
Oh, she cares about Muslims now. Oh, how nice of you, Nikki. Oh, I'm so sorry I doubted you when you were, bombing Syria and just, supporting all of your other neoconservative adventures, which just so happen to be killing Muslims all the time. Well, the majority of them Muslim anyway. I'm so sorry. I completely misread you and I judged you too soon. You do care about Muslims. I see. As long as it pisses off the Chinese government. I get it now. Yeah.
In Iran, they murder their own people for challenging the government.
Oh, right. Yeah, you don't do that in the U.S., yeah? I actually haven't seen this video. I'm reacting to this live. This is so fucking funny. Iran execution. Don't you still put people in chairs and inject them with liquids or electrocute them in America? I think they brought back firing squads in one state, which is perhaps a bit more humane, if you can even call it that. You're really not in a position to be talking about death sentences. I mean, there are people who sit on death row in America for literally years, living with this anxiety every day about when they're going to be executed, which is a death in and of itself. You got people doing life sentences in America, which is akin to a death sentence. It really, for having some crack on them, not dealing, just having crack, like Hunter Biden. I don't see him in jail, and I'm not saying he should be, but maybe his father, who had a role in passing those laws, 3-strike laws, and who is saying that if you have just this much crack on you, the size of a quarter, you should get a quarter century, after 3 strikes. And so, when he texted his son about his crack addiction, he had a very, very different tune, right? He was singing a very, very different tune, right? You got nothing to say about Iran. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean Iran's perfect, but you're not in any position to be pointing fingers here. I'm sorry.
And when a woman tells you about watching soldiers throw her baby into a fire, it puts things in perspective.
What? You mean, what is she talking about? American soldiers? There's a fair share. You have your fair share of stories that I don't know if exactly like this. I've never heard of one exactly like this, but I do seem to remember one in Iraq where they raped an Iraqi girl, killed her family, and then they called an airstrike on the house to destroy the evidence. So, I'm having trouble seeing anyone beating that, and that's just one thing, right? You want to talk about Vietnamese women being raped by GIs, and we can go on and on, so if you want to talk about what soldiers do, really.
even on our worst day, we are blessed to live in America. I was born and raised in South Carolina, so I have seen the very best of our country. People here threw out the old, tired political establishment and demanded accountability for their tax dollars. Industry reports called us
accountability for their tax dollars. Remember this, what you just said. Accountability for their tax dollars. You'll see why in a minute.
the beast of the Southeast, which I loved. People came by the thousands for fresh starts. Moms and dads held their heads up high. Children learned that it was always
It's a great day in South Carolina. It's a great day.
It's a great day.
A great day.
a great day in South Carolina. We were strong. We were proud. And when evil did come,
Police in South Carolina are looking for a gunman following a shooting at a church in
Several
downtown
victims.
Charleston.
We don't know the severity.
we turned away from fear, toward God, and the values that still make our country the freest and greatest in the world.
Joe, I love bombing other countries all the time. It's the word of God.
We must turn in that direction again. Republicans have lost the popular vote in 7 out of the last 8 presidential elections. That has to change. Joe Biden's record is abysmal, but that shouldn't come as a surprise. The Washington establishment has failed us over and over and over again. It's time for a new generation of leaders.
The establishment has failed us. Bitch, you are the establishment. You could not be more establishment. What is she talking about?
To rediscover fiscal responsibility, secure our border, and strengthen our country, our pride, and our purpose.
Secure our border. Look, when someone like her says secure our border, they don't actually mean like having a secure border, which is a very rational and normal thing to have, right? Sovereignty, which I know is very hard for her to grasp, especially since she and her NEOCON friends, they love having a secure border for them, but not so much a secure Iraqi border or a secure Syrian border, because they can just walk in and invade whenever they like. They're used to that. I know it's difficult, but when she says secure border, she really just says she doesn't want any immigrants. And I'm finding this difficult to understand because in the beginning of the video, she says that she's a proud daughter of Indian immigrants, which is great. Okay. But why are you pulling up the ladder behind you? She reminds me of Priti Patel and Suella Braverman, right? Who correct me if I'm wrong. I think Priti Patel, wasn't she Indian and Ugandan? I'm it doesn't matter wherever her parents came from, because she's the daughter of immigrants, and my point is that she also likes to shut the gate behind her and screw other immigrants. So she, they're basically saying, I'm happy that I'm an immigrant and my parents came here and they brought me to this beautiful country. Okay, lovely. But then they're like, and I don't want anyone else to come in, and I'm going to kick people out and send them to Rwanda for daring to seek asylum. And, we want less migrants and we need to secure our border. They're hypocrites. They are hypocrites. It's basically like I said, pulling up the ladder, behind them or shutting the door behind them. It's like, I got mine. I'm okay now. I'm secure. I'm the Home Secretary, or I'm in government. I'm the U.S. ambassador to the UN now, and I'm going to run for president. But you guys need to stay outside. No. I like me being an immigrant, but not you. No more. How selfish. She says, God, they're so selfish. She's like an American version of Priti Patel, in that regard.
Some people look at America and see vulnerability. The Socialist Left sees an opportunity to rewrite history.
The Socialist Left. We were just talking about this earlier, that the Democrats, and yes, I'm sorry, it includes Bernie and AOC, they are right-wing. They are right-wing with most of their viewpoints. And if you pick them up and you put them in another country, the Democratic Party, they'd be called right-wing because that's what they are. But, anything you don't like in America, you can just, you can see here, they put up a communist flag and a picture of Putin and oh, socialist. You got to keep the McCarthyist brainwashing going. You got to make sure every generation they get their brains filled with shit.
China and Russia are on the march. They all think we can be bullied, kicked around. You should know this about me. I don't put up with bullies. And when you kick back, it hurts them more if you're wearing heels. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
Oh boy. What the fuck was that? She's gonna kick Putin and Xi Jinping with her heels? What the hell is that, man? That's your pitch?
You should know this about me. I don't put up with bullies. And when you kick back, it hurts them more if you're wearing heels. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
Now I know the secret. We all gotta wear heels, guys. That's how we're gonna defeat the Anglo-Saxon war machine. I'm gonna go out and buy me a Gucci pair of heels in the morning. All right, are you with me? Let's do this. Gotta hit the bully right where it hurts with the heels. Come on, everybody. Left foot, right foot. Oh my god. Oh my god, she's so funny, man. She's really a comedian. Oh, I love this. You know what the reaction to her announcement is so hilarious because people have been basically saying that she's whitewashing, and I agree to some extent. She's certainly whitewashing to a degree, but I don't agree with what they've been saying. They're basically saying that she's hiding her Indian first name and she's using her middle name. Well, there are tons of people who use their middle name. I mean, there's nothing special about that, you know. But look here, for example. You had this person, Asha Rangappa. I have no clue who she is, but basically she was telling Nikki Haley, why did you go from Nimrata to Nikki, right? So she's saying, why did you change your name from Nimrata to Nikki, which sounds a bit more westernized, I suppose. And I find this very funny because, first of all, who gives a crap if she's called Nimrata or Nikki or both? To my knowledge, those are both her names on her birth certificate. Some people go by their first name, some people go by their middle name. Who cares? But this shows you something very interesting, is that the only criticism that she gets is about something stupid like what name she has. I don't care if she's called Nikki Haley or Nimrata Haley or Nimrata Nikki Haley or Donald fucking Duck. I care about her being a warmonger and a neoconservative and a hawk. That's what I care about, because that's actual policy. That's something that you can criticize and you can question. Her name is not really one of them. I don't care about her name. It's really irrelevant. I honestly, I didn't even know that she was of Indian descent until she announced this thing. Do you think I ever gave a shit? It's so irrelevant whether she is black, brown, purple, or her name is Johnny. I really don't care about this. This is so irrelevant, but it shows you the degree of or shall I say the lack of critical thinking skills and complete absence of intellectual capacity among mainstream American politics. All they can do is focus on dumb shit like this. They don't actually say why is she talking about sending more money to Ukraine? And how is that America first, right? Because she says, America first. And why is she trying to, kick Xi and Putin in the balls with her heels? Like, what is why is she a hawk on them? What's she talking about Iran? What is her policy going to be towards Iran? These are real questions. Or ask her about domestic things like healthcare, if there is any. I doubt it. These are real questions. These are real things. No, let's talk about her name, man. Jesus, I mean, that says a lot, Lee. So you're fine with everything else? The only thing that bothers you is the name. Okay, wonderful to know. She was saying a few weeks ago that, actually last week, that Iran is steps away from a nuclear bomb. No, they're not. They're really not. North Korea fired more missiles last year than any other on record. Maybe you shouldn't kill 20% of their population. That's probably why they have nukes. Just saying. Terrorists have made Afghanistan home under the Taliban. Well, you did that because you suck and you just wanted to go to Afghanistan for money, and then you left and they came back to power. That's it. And Russia invaded Ukraine. Yeah, I mean, they did, but you egged them on and made sure they did it. So you also are to blame. Freedom-loving people around the world are less safe with President Biden in charge. Anytime they start using words like freedom-loving and democratic, it's not that there's something wrong with, freedom-loving people or democratic values. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that they don't actually mean those things. They just throw these words out there because they've conditioned people into responding emotionally to these catchphrases, right? And they kind of pull the wool over your eyes. Say democracy, democracy, freedom, 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 and then 1 second you're having hamburgers, and next you're bombing Iraq. That's what it's all about. It's so tacky and cheesy. It's really just pathetic. And I want to show you what she's being asked here in an interview. Pay attention, right?
We have the backs of our friends, and we hold our enemies to account. And, whether it's Ukraine or Israel.
You don't have any enemies. I don't actually know anyone who hates the United States for just being the United States. No one hates you. You don't have enemies. You have people that you've pissed off because you invaded them. That's very different. Okay? No, you don't have enemies. The United States is a state continent in the middle, isolated from the rest of the world by 2 oceans. You do not have any enemies or threats or concerns. Literally none. I don't know anyone who hates the United States. There's no country, or even people like in countries that have been bombed by the United States. If you go as an American or from the UK, you go into downtown Damascus, people will greet you with a smile. They'll offer you tea and food. They don't give they know that you're not your government. So and same thing if you go to other countries, like I said, that have been hit by the US. They have no problem with Americans. They only have a problem with American foreign policy. And Nikki Haley is part of that establishment which pushes American foreign policy, neoconservative foreign policy. That's it. So you don't have enemies. You stop fear-mongering and lying to people so you can justify attacking other countries for their resources and to control them. You don't have enemies. That's not true.
And, whether it's Ukraine or Israel, we take care of them because it's about freedom. And we can never stop fighting for freedom.
Yeah, man. Israel needs the freedom to charge Palestinian human rights lawyers with terrorism and then deport them out of the country that they're born in. Yeah. It's very important that you give them billions of dollars. And Zelensky needs billions of dollars so he can ban opposition groups and TV channels and the Orthodox Church and accuse Russian priests of, dual allegiance and, Orthodox priests of having allegiance to Russia. And, he really needs tanks. He really needs HIMARS. He really needs fighter jets. Please give him everything while there's a train derailing in East Palestine and giving people cancer there. Let's not fix the railways. Let's not update the infrastructure. No. Let's give Zelensky and Israel billions because it's about freedom.
That populist strain and a lot of MAGA that wants the Ukraine gravy train, financially and otherwise, to stop. And even there's a growing Republican growing Republican support to say, wait a minute, checks and balances here. What are we doing giving all this money to Ukraine? Where do you come down on the money, on the military, whether it be fighter jets, X, Y, and Z?
Biden was slow to the take.
Yeah.
He should have given Ukraine what they needed right when this started, and we'd be in a totally different place right now. This isn't a war about Ukraine. This is a war about freedom.
Oh my God,
and
again.
I don't think we need to put troops on the ground. I don't think we need to write them blank checks. But they have the passion to fight for their own freedom. Give them the ammunition to do it. Get with our NATO allies and say,
hey man, yo, you want to talk about passion? I know a lot of people in Palestine and Damascus and Tehran and Latin America who have the passion to free Palestine. They were ready to march in the morning. Right now, let's fucking go. You got the weapons? You okay with that? Yeah? If it's about passion to fight for their country, let's go. We're ready.
the ammunition to do it. Get with our NATO allies and say, hey, we're not the only ones. You've got to do it too. And let them win this fight. But I'll tell you what, let
them win this fight. Let's fight the Russians down to the last Ukrainian. Let them win this fight, you know?
This fight. But I'll tell you what, if they win this fight, you won't hear anything from Russia, China, or Iran. If they lose this fight, Russia's not going to stop at Ukraine. They're going to go into Poland and the Baltics, and we've got a world war on our hands.
Really? They're going to go into Poland and the Baltics. Let's say that's true. Let's say that's true. What is in Poland and the Baltics? What on earth could be in Poland and the Baltics that would make the Russians so determined that they would actually go in there? If that's true, I'm thinking just hypothetically here, because she says that this is true. Like if they win in Ukraine, they're going to go into Poland and Baltics. Well, what's in there? Oh, that's right. You are. You, Nikki Haley. You, NATO. What the fuck are you doing in Poland and the Baltics? Why are you there? Oh, I forgot. Yeah, you're there to annoy the Russians and to just keep egging them on, right? See, Nikki Haley's a liar, and she was the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and she has all the classic traits of an American diplomat. She lies, right? Now, don't get me wrong. You know, most embassies are spy stations, and you know they that's what they are, no matter the country. But when the Americans make deals, you know, with their diplomats, they lie. And I've seen this, personally with documents that I've published. They lie to their own so-called allies. So in that case, it was Spain. They lie to the United Kingdom. They lie to everybody. There are no limits, you know, to who they'll lie to. And so when they told the Russians, please support German reunification, East and West back together, we won't expand NATO, they lied. And I blame the Russians also, because the Russians should have put their foot down and said, you write that in fucking text inside the treaty. But I guess, you know, can you really blame the Russians for thinking that the American diplomats would, you know, they would shake on it like gentlemen? Yeah, I guess you could. They should not have done that. They should not have done that. But you need to know this, because it wasn't just the Americans, it was the British and all these NATO Western diplomats who lied, and they kept pushing. And every administration, you know, George Bush and Obama and Biden and Trump, they just keep giving more money to the military-industrial complex. They keep swallowing more and more countries into NATO, and that includes Poland and the Baltics. So they basically, they tricked the Russians, they lied to them, and then they provoked them by moving all of their troops onto their border. And I'm sorry, but this is not rocket science. This is really, really easy to understand. When you put your troops at the border of a power, whether that's a regional power or it's a superpower or hyperpower, you're going to piss them off. You are going to piss them off. This is not, you know, whether you like borscht or you like the Russians or the Ukrainians or you don't like any of it. It's irrelevant. We could talk about country A and country B, right? If country B starts putting troops at country A's border, and country A is a very big power, you're going to piss that country off. You can't do this stuff. You can't do this stuff. This is basic geopolitics. This is not rocket science. Stop bullshitting people and trying to make this about, oh, it's the Putin trying to revive the Soviet Empire. No, he's not. That's complete nonsense. This has nothing to do with Putin. Russia's been saying this for 30 years. Putin was a fucking nobody back then. What's he got to do with it? It's nothing to do with that. Americans have been saying this for years. People with brains have been saying this for goddamn years. You are going to cause a war, and you did it. You did it.
Poland and the Baltics, and we've got a world war on our hands. We have to make sure we send a message to every enemy that if you mess with our friends, you're messing with us, and you don't want to do that.
And that, therefore, is America first, in essence.
It is taking care of America, because we're preventing wars.
Oh, I get it. Right. You know, Europe is a vassal state of the United States, so it is America, I guess. Yeah. If you put it that way. I wanted to give the guy credit, the reporter, for asking her that question, because he said, like, how do you reconcile America first with giving all of this money to Ukraine? How is that America first? And then at the end, he's like, well, and that's America first, right? By extension. And she's like, yes, exactly. Why did you do that, man? Why did you do that? You were doing so well, and then, right at the end, I appreciated the question. It's a good question. It also, you know, it's something you can ask Trump also, right? It's something you can ask a lot of these MAGA politicians who they always say America first, and then actually it's Israel first, or it's Ukraine first, or, you know, let's get NATO expanded and get those Germans to spend more on NATO first. Let's steal some more Syrian oil first, right? They're phonies. They're crooks. They're scammers. It's not America first. America first is like, you take all this money that you're spending on bases. You close the bases. You bring your troops home instead of killing them and making them kill other people. And you start giving people healthcare, and you build better railroads and infrastructure, and better telecommunications infrastructure. That's America first. But none of these people are actually America first, right? They're just another variant of the same crap. The swamp. The swamp. Donald Trump is part of the swamp. He never drained anything. He's part of the same swamp. He just just a big mouth. in any case, I mentioned Trump because she said that she was going to support Trump if he runs again, and Trump is running again. But apparently she's running her own campaign now. Now, again, a lot can happen. She might end up dropping out and getting another ambassadorship from Trump, although you can buy those, I'm not kidding. People literally pay for those posts. Like, you guys remember this thing about Iran? Like, there was some fake story in the news about Iran wanting to kidnap the U.S. ambassador to South Africa, who is a fucking nobody, who used to design handbags before she got that post after she paid off Trump. Now, again, I'm not saying she's a nobody because she did handbags, but I'm saying that she has no political or strategic value for Iran to kidnap. She has no experience as a diplomat. She literally just paid Trump to get that post. And suddenly Iran wants to kidnap her. Like, it's just complete horse manure. But, it shows you the caliber of the State Department. And I think it's very disappointing, frankly, very disappointing. Nikki Haley, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, it's so embarrassing. Jesus Christ, what an embarrassment. Man, you should have sent fucking Chuck E. Cheese instead of her. It would have been better. She has no clue what she's doing. She's not even fit enough to be a governor, never mind represent the United States at the United Nations. God, what an embarrassment. But anyway, she might end up dropping out and, having some kind of post like Buttigieg did with Biden, where he gave him the transport secretary place. It's the swamp, man. But I thought I'd let you in, on her new campaign, and I'm interested to see if Pompeo will run. That guy is also a character, and I don't necessarily mean that in a nice way, but he's definitely his own character. Wouldn't you agree? God, I like that he was fat because he looked like a mob boss, right? And now he's slimmed down and everything. Why did you do that, man? Come on, you got to play the part. Method acting, okay? I liked him more when he was fat. He looked funnier, like a real mob character. Yeah. Like, he should have just put a cigar in his mouth and we're good to go. All right, man. That's it for Nikki Haley. Enough. I'm just going to say this, that it's so pathetic. People, they want to criticize her name, but not, her policies. What does that say about you? That shows you how close liberals, neoliberals, and neoconservatives are. They've basically just became, one thing. And it's so funny. It's really funny and sad. But this is a political reality, of the United States. They have morphed and merged into one giant swamp creature, and there is no difference between them on foreign policy. They are equally as hawkish, whether it's Biden, whether it's Trump, whether it's Haley. They are all the same crap. There is no difference between them. And I know it sounds very like, there are people who want to be more nuanced. No, there's nothing really nuanced to it. These bombs are red and those are blue, but they're still the same bombs from the same factory. That's it. There's nothing to it. And Nikki Haley, when she was U.S. ambassador, she's the same hawk as all the other ones before her, right? And after her. There's no difference. We know who she is.